Welcome to the first devlog of Trail. I'm Charles, the artist behind this project. My brother Nathaniel and I have been working on this game for about a year now. Me handling the visuals, and him working on the programming side of things. Today, I want to give you a little peek behind the scenes, share the state of the game, and talk about what's coming next. So, just a bit about us. For as long as I can remember, I've always been passionate about drawing and storytelling. When I was younger, I spent most of my time reading or drawing in a sketchbook. Right now, I'm a freelance illustrator, mostly working in advertising. It's a job I really enjoy, but I've missed telling more poetic stories through my illustration. Working on a video game feels like the perfect way to merge two passions together and dive into a long-term project. Nathaniel is an informatic engineer, and he is the way better gamer between the both of us. So it's nice that he manages the mechanics of the game. So, what's Cold Trail about? It's a single-player adventure game where you play as a ghost investigating his own death. The game's all about exploring, finding clues, interacting with other characters, solving puzzles, and navigating some platforming challenges. Given my background in illustration, we decided to go with the 2D style. It felt like the best way to leverage what I do best, while keeping things manageable for a small team. Once we had the basic concept, we started building the world of the game, thinking about the visual style and the overall atmosphere. We grew up in a small village, surrounded by nature, with the forest right at the doorstep. I've always been fascinated by the contrast between the simple beauty of nature and the sometimes dangerous ingenuity you find in makeshift solutions that are used to fix the lawnmower or patch the roof of the shed in smaller, more isolated communities. There's something quite poetic in the mix of peaceful surroundings and the rough and ready ways people make do. That's the vibe we wanted for Cold Trail. A cozy, serene environment, but with a village that feels a bit patched together with duct tape. Visually, the style is heavily influenced by my own drawing abilities, of course, and my own style. We've also drawn inspiration from Ghibli films, game like Ori, Night in the Wood, and the sense of scale of a game like Hollow Knight. From the start, I wanted a distinctive handmade look to the game, with as many assets completely hand-drawn on Photoshop. However, since making a video game is no small feat, I'm actually blending drawn elements with some assets partially created in 3D using Blender. For instance, I modeled a more complex structure in 3D like architecture, render them, and then paint them over to maintain a cohesive look. If you look at the first area of the game, you'll see reference to a real convenience store near where we grew up. I modeled it in 3D, brought it into Photoshop to give it a hand-drawn feel, and then imported it into the game. The rest of the setup follows a similar process, with lots of use of sprite shape and tiles. Managing the parallax was a big focus. Nathaniel created a script that helps create depth in 2D space without moving into full 3D, which was a great way to keep the complexity down. When it comes to color, I'm aiming for something vibrant that highlights the different environments, but without being too loud or too saturated. I generally don't like working with a set fixed color palette, so I've actually been relying on previous assets that I like that resonate with me, putting them as reference in a Photoshop document, and using the eyedropper tool to pull in colors that feel right. For character animation, I initially thought about hand-drawn animation, but I'll admit it's not my favorite way to animate. Drawing the same thing over and over is a bit tedious for me. So I opted for a simple character model that I animate using Unity's skeleton system. I could have gone with inverse kinematics, but since our protagonist has very specific movements, I decided to animate the bones manually. There's like 5 bones anyway, so it's fine. Nathaniel then set up a great animation system, so I can just put the right animation in the correct slot to have the correct transitions. I've also been working on the interior designs. As I mentioned earlier, I like starting with a 3D mockup for interiors. It's like working with cardboard model. Once I'm happy with it, I create reusable assets. Working this way allows me to build up a library of sprites that can be used across different areas of the game, giving us more flexibility and consistency. I also created the hero banner and various assets for the website, the Steam page, and the reveal trailer. And you can actually wishlist the game if you like. Looking forward, we're planning to implement a skill system that will allow for more complex puzzles and open up new areas for exploration. The idea is to encourage players to fully explore the world, and we're considering having the game's ending influenced by how much of the mysteries you solve. Here are a few examples of the skill we're thinking about adding as you progress through the game. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next devlog.